the floor where they drop like bombs. Faceless voices running all the cons. Digital whispers in a binary night. No light, no face, pure sound, no sight. Stories unfold in the dark unscrolled. Echoes of silence, secrets untold. Waves crash loud in this audio cave. No mic, no fame, just the sound we crave. Tune and turn up, let the silence break. Raw, unfiltered, hear the earthquake. No mic needed, just a vibe that's real. Faceless words you can touch and feel. In shadows, voices untamed. No need for spotlight, no claim to fame. Just a beat of life in a stream of thought. Every word a punchline, no need to be taught. Just listen close, no visuals needed. Raw conversation, unprocessed, unseated. Feel the pulse in every sentence said. No distractions, just thoughts in your head. Whispers of the streets, rumbling through. Faceless yet vivid, a world in view. No mic, just souls, connecting in flow. Pure and raw, let the rhythm go.
What I give is the morphology of the use of an expression. I show that it has kinds of uses of which you had not dreamed. In philosophy one feels forced to look at a concept in a certain way. What I do is suggest, or even invent, other ways of looking at it. I suggest possibilities of which you had not previously thought. You thought that there was one possibility, or only two at most. But I made you think of others. Furthermore, I made you see that it was absurd to expect the concept to conform to those narrow possibilities. Thus your mental cramp is relieved, and you are free to look around the field of use of the expression and to describe the different kinds of uses of it. Lectures of 1946 to 1947, as quoted in Ludwig Wittgenstein, a memoir 1966 by Norman Malcolm, p. 43. Ludwig Wittgenstein (1889–1951) was an Austrian-born British philosopher who profoundly influenced 20th-century analytic philosophy, particularly in the philosophy of language, logic, and mind. His work is often divided into two main periods, reflecting a significant shift in his thought. Ludwig Wittgenstein's early life was marked by immense wealth, intellectual stimulation, and personal tragedy. Born in Vienna, Austria, on April 26, 1889, he was the youngest of 8 children in one of Europe's wealthiest families. His father, Karl Wittgenstein, was a prominent steel magnate, and his mother, Leopoldine, was a gifted pianist. The family home was a vibrant hub of Viennese cultural life, frequented by renowned artists and musicians like Johannes Brahms and Gustav Mahler. Despite this privileged upbringing, Wittgenstein's childhood was not without difficulties. He was educated at home until the age of 14, and although the family was immensely talented, Ludwig was initially considered less academically inclined than his siblings. He later attended a technical school in Linz, where he reportedly struggled to fit in with his working-class peers and dealt with a stammer. This period, however, solidified his interest in mechanical things, leading him to pursue studies in engineering. In 1906, he began studying mechanical engineering in Berlin and then moved to Manchester, England, in 1908 to focus on aeronautics, even patenting a propeller design. However, his true intellectual calling emerged as he delved into the philosophy of mathematics, particularly through the works of Bertrand Russell and Gottlob Frege. This ignited a profound passion for philosophical logic, leading him to abandon engineering and seek out Russell at Cambridge in 1911. This pivotal meeting marked the beginning of his formal philosophical journey and the intense intellectual pursuits that would define his early philosophical contributions. The early years also saw deep personal struggles, including bouts of depression, and tragically, 3 of his brothers committed suicide. Following his intense early studies and the groundbreaking influence of Bertrand Russell and Gottlob Frege, Ludwig Wittgenstein's next major work, and indeed the only full-length philosophical work published during his lifetime, was the Tractatus Logico-Philosophicus. Published in German in 1921 as Logische Philosophische Abhandlung and in English translation in 1922 with a Latin title suggested by G. E. Moore as an homage to Spinoza, the Tractatus is a remarkably dense and compressed work, consisting of a series of numbered propositions, each often a single sentence, with sub-propositions further elaborating on the main points. Its central aim was to delineate the limits of language and thought, arguing that what can be meaningfully said is limited to factual propositions about the world, which picture states of affairs. Anything beyond this, such as ethics, aesthetics, or the mystical, falls outside the realm of what can be expressed in meaningful propositions and must therefore be passed over in silence. The Tractatus presented a highly influential picture theory of language, asserting that language gains its meaning by mirroring the logical structure of reality. Propositions, according to Wittgenstein, are logical pictures of facts, and the world is the totality of facts. This rigorous logical atomism profoundly impacted the Vienna Circle and the development of logical positivism, though Wittgenstein himself later expressed dissatisfaction with how his work was interpreted by this group. He believed they misunderstood the crucial final propositions, which pointed to the ineffable and mystical aspects of reality that could not be articulated but were nevertheless fundamental. Some remarks on logical form 1929, this was one of the very few pieces Wittgenstein published in a journal during his lifetime, reflecting his transitional thinking between the Tractatus and his later work, particularly on the nature of logical propositions. Ludwig Wittgenstein passed away on April 29, 1951, in Cambridge, England, at the age of 62. His death came after a battle with prostate cancer, which he faced with characteristic philosophical composure. Just days before his passing, he reportedly told his doctor, "Tell them I've had a wonderful life." After a period of teaching and introspection, Wittgenstein's philosophical trajectory underwent a radical transformation, leading to the development of what is known as his later philosophy. The core ideas of this period were primarily conceived during the 1930s and 1940s, though they were not brought together into a cohesive volume until the posthumous publication of the Philosophical Investigations in 1953, 2 years after his death. This work marked a profound break from his earlier views, rejecting the notion of a fixed, underlying logical structure of language. Instead, the investigations proposed that the meaning of words is not derived from their correspondence to objects or abstract concepts, but rather from their use within various language games, the diverse and ever-evolving social practices and contexts in which language functions. He argued that many philosophical problems arise not from deep metaphysical puzzles, but from misunderstandings of how words are ordinarily used. The book is characterized by its dialogical style and a therapeutic approach to philosophy, aiming to dissolve linguistic confusions rather than constructing grand theories. Another crucial posthumous collection is Remarks on the Foundations of Mathematics, first published in 1956. This volume compiles Wittgenstein's scattered notes and reflections on the philosophy of mathematics, predominantly from the late 1930s and early 1940s. Here, he applies his later philosophy of language to explore the nature of mathematical proof, certainty, and the very concept of mathematical truth. He challenges traditional foundationalist approaches to mathematics, suggesting that mathematical propositions are not empirical statements, nor are they necessarily descriptions of an independent mathematical reality. Among these, the Blue and Brown books, published in 1958, are particularly significant. They represent dictations Wittgenstein gave to his students at Cambridge in the mid-1930s and serve as a crucial bridge between his early, more formal philosophy and the radical shift seen in his later work. The Blue Book primarily critiques the idea that the meaning of a word resides in some internal, mental act or private interpretation, forcefully arguing that meaning is fundamentally tied to how we use words in public contexts. The Brown Book further develops his concept of language games, introducing simpler forms of language to demonstrate the diversity of linguistic functions and challenging the notion of a single, fixed essence of meaning. These texts are vital for understanding how Wittgenstein moved away from his earlier picture theory of language to his later emphasis on meaning as use and the social nature of linguistic rules. Towards the very end of his life, Wittgenstein focused intensely on questions of knowledge, doubt, and certainty, resulting in the Notes that would become Uncertainty, published posthumously in 1969. In this work, he engaged with the common-sense philosophy of G. E. Moore, exploring the idea that certain propositions serve as fundamental, unquestioned assumptions within our form of life. These are not empirical beliefs that can be doubted or proven, but rather the very scaffolding or riverbed upon which our understanding and inquiry rest, providing the framework for meaningful doubt. This further deepened his later insights into the practical and communal nature of knowledge. Finally, Culture and Value, published in 1977, offers a more personal and aphoristic glimpse into Wittgenstein's broader intellectual and ethical concerns. This collection comprises his scattered reflections, notes, and remarks on a wide array of topics beyond the strictly philosophical, including art, music, religion, ethics, and the very spirit of his age. It reveals his deeply critical stance towards modern civilization, his aesthetic sensibilities, and his profound, albeit often ineffable, ethical and religious convictions. Unlike his more systematic philosophical analyses, Culture and Value provides an intimate window into his intellectual temperament and the cultural context that shaped his unique philosophical outlook, often expressed through striking metaphors and personal observations. It is hardly correct to speak of these meetings as lectures, although this is what Wittgenstein called them. For one thing, he was carrying on original research in these meetings. Often the meetings consisted mainly of dialogue. Sometimes, however, when he was trying to draw a thought out of himself, he would prohibit, with a peremptory motion of the hand, any questions or remarks. There were frequent and prolonged periods of silence, with only an occasional mutter from Wittgenstein, and the stillest attention from the others. During these silences, Wittgenstein was extremely tense and active. His gaze was concentrated, his face was alive, his hands made arresting movements, his expression was stern. One knew that one was in the presence of extreme seriousness, absorption, and force of intellect. Wittgenstein was a frightening person at these classes. Norman Malcolm. Ask yourself whether our language is complete, whether it was so before the symbolism of chemistry and the notation of the infinitesimal calculus were incorporated in it, for these are, so to speak, suburbs of our language. And how many houses or streets does it take before a town begins to be a town? Our language can be seen as an ancient city, a maze of little streets and squares, of old and new houses, and of houses with additions from various periods, and this surrounded by a multitude of new boroughs with straight regular streets and uniform houses. Ludwig Wittgenstein. Sources: Drury, Maurice O'Connor 1973. The Danger of Words and Writings on Wittgenstein. Routledge and Keegan Paul. Drury, Maurice O'Connor 1984. Conversations with Wittgenstein. In Rees, Rush ed. Recollections of Wittgenstein. New York, Oxford University Press. ISBN 978-0-19-287628-7. Edmonds, David, ID Now, John 2001. Wittgenstein's Poker. Echo. Flowers, FA3, Ground, Ian 2015. Portraits of Wittgenstein, Volume 1. Bloomsbury Academic. ISBN 978-1-4725-8978-1. Flowers, FA3, Ground, Ian 2018. Portraits of Wittgenstein Abridged ed. Bloomsbury Academic. ISBN 978-1-350-04663-4. Kripke, Saul 1982. Wittgenstein on Rules and Private Language. Harvard University Press. ISBN 978-0-674-95401-4. Malcolm, Norman 2001. Ludwig Wittgenstein, A Memoir 2nd ed. Oxford University Press. ISBN 978-0-19-924759-2. Mays, Wolf. Wittgenstein in Cambridge. In Flowers and Ground 2015. McGuinness, Brian 1988. Wittgenstein, A Life, Young Ludwig 1889-1921. University of California Press. ISBN 978-0-520-06496-6. Pages 51 ff. McGuinness, Brian 2008. Wittgenstein in Cambridge, Letters and Documents 1911-1951. Blackwell. McGuinness, Brian, and Von Wright, Gheds. Ludwig Wittgenstein, Cambridge Letters, Correspondence with Russell, Keynes, Moore, Ramsey, and Sraffa. Blackwell, 1995. Monk, Ray 1990. Ludwig Wittgenstein, The Duty of Genius. Free Press. ISBN 978-1-4481-1267-8. Monk, Ray 2005. How to Read Wittgenstein. W. W. Norton and Company. ISBN 978-1-86207-724-9. Netto, Michael, Ranchetti, Michelle, eds. 1983. Ludwig Wittgenstein, Sein Leben in Bildern und Texten. Suhrkamp. ISBN 978-3-518-04673-9. Slugga, Hans 2011. Wittgenstein. Malden Mott, Wiley Blackwell. ISBN 978-1-4443-4329-8. Slugga, Hans, Stern, David G. 1996. The Cambridge Companion to Wittgenstein. Cambridge University Press. ISBN 978-0-521-46591-5. Stern, David. September 2010. The Bergen electronic edition of Wittgenstein's Nachlass. European Journal of Philosophy. 18.3, 455-467. doi 10.1111J.1468-0378.2010.00425.x. Von Wright, George Henrik, ed. 1990. A Portrait of Wittgenstein as a Young Man, from the Diary of David Hume Pinsent 1912-1914. Blackwell. ISBN 978-0-631-17511-7. Waugh, Alexander 2008. The House of Wittgenstein, A Family at War. Random House of Canada. ISBN 978-1-4088-4202-7.
Wrecks on the floor where they drop like bombs. Faceless voices running all the cons. Digital whispers in a binary night. No light, no face, pure sound, no sight. Stories unfold in the dark unscrolled. Echoes of silence, secrets untold. Waves crash loud in this audio cave. No light, no fame, just the sound we crave. Tune in, turn up, let the silence break. Raw, unfiltered, hear the earthquake. No mic needed, just the vibe that's real. Faceless words you can touch and feel. Hidden in shadows, voices untamed. No need for spotlight, no claim to fame. Just a beat of life in a stream of thought. Every word a punchline, no need to be taught. Just listen close, no visuals needed. Raw conversation, unprocessed, unseated. Feel the pulse in every sentence said. No distractions, just thoughts in your head. Whispers of the streets, rumbling through. Faceless yet vivid, a world in view. No mic, just souls, connecting in flow. Pure and raw, let the rhythm go. Pure and raw. Pure and raw. Silence break, raw, unfiltered, hear the earthquake. No mic needed, just the vibe that's real. Faceless words you can touch and feel. Tune in, turn up, let the silence break. Raw, unfiltered, hear the earthquake. No mic needed, just the vibe that's real. Faceless words you can touch and feel. Pure and raw.
Okay.